Huell, and Senator Barbara Boxer joins us now from Washington. Senator, thank you for joining us. Also, we must remember that you too are a former journalist with the Pacific Sun
yes.
before you became a senator. Let's begin now with our understanding that the FBI is looking into the possibility that victims of 9/11 were hacked. Is this the investigation that you wanted?
Well, it's absolutely part of it. I teamed up with Senator Jay Rockefeller, who's the chairman of the Commerce Committee. I'm a senior member of that committee, and we have jurisdiction, over the broadcasters, for example, and the media as a whole. And we wrote to the Security and Exchange Commission, and we wrote to the Department of Justice. The FBI is part of the Department of Justice, asking them to look specifically into the possibility that two American laws were broken. One, the Foreign Practices Corruption Act, and secondly, the so-called Wiretap Act. And any American corporation, has to comply with these laws. Now, Rupert Murdoch decided he wanted to become an American citizen. I don't blame him. America's the greatest place in the world. I say to you, the fact of the matter is, he became an American citizen. His corporation is American. He needs to obey American law. And the stories coming out of your country about bribing police officials, on its face, that is not allowed under the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act.
Right.
And the fact that he may have hacked into victims of the families of the victims of 9/11, that is not allowed.
Let's deal with those two things separately. First of all, I'm right in saying there is no evidence of hacking of 9/11 victims. There's just allegations at this stage. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's move now on to looking at the hacking of phones here and also the bribing of officers here. Under that act that you talked about, that would mean that Foreign Corruption Act would mean that he could then, what? Be divested of his of his newspapers, be prosecuted in America?
He cannot, as an American citizen or a corporation, an American corporation, bribe officials anywhere in the world. This act was signed back in the 70s. There was concern about corporations paying off different people, and corporate America wasn't well thought of. And this passed, and Jimmy Carter signed it into law, and we began to see, a higher level of morality in our corporations. And it's very important. And right away, any type of bribery of officials or any other people trying to get information, that's just not allowed.
No,
so
today
it would be breaking that law.
In the Wall Street Journal, the new edition of the Wall Street Journal, Rupert Murdoch has spoken to the Wall Street Journal and said that, as far as he's concerned in the conduct of the investigation into News Corp's activities, he's only made minor errors in that. What do you make of that, given that this morning neither he nor his son were prepared to appear in front of a committee of MPs, and now by the end of the day they were put in a position where they absolutely had to?
Well, to say it's minor problems, my understanding is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that more than 4,000 people in Britain were apparently hacked into.
Yes, minor, let me be quite clear about this. Minor problems in the way that they have conducted themselves in the inquiry so far.
Oh, I thought he was saying there were minor problems with what he did.
No.
So I can't comment on the way he's responded, although the initial reports were that he wasn't going to testify. Now he's changed his mind. That's a good thing. But I thought he was referring to what they did. That's not minor. Do
you think that it might be possible that you will request that he appear in front of, for example, a Senate committee?
Well, he's already appeared before the Commerce Committee on other matters, and he's an American corporation, he's an American citizen. Depending on how this goes, I've spoken to Chairman Rockefeller, and it is possible that we could call him. We are not ready to do that at this time. But the FBI apparently is focused in on this. I have to say, it's just hard for me to understand how anybody could sanction doing some of the things they reportedly did. When you look at that little girl's murder in your country and what is reported to have happened there, the possible hacking over here, the possible hacking of phones of families who lost soldiers in Afghanistan and Iraq, British families, it takes my breath away.
If Senator, though, if they are found guilty, if indeed the executives are found guilty of involvement in any of these things, what would be sanctions that they could be put upon them on your side of the Atlantic?
Well, right now there are many things. I told you there are 2 laws here that come into play. There's, this is a public corporation. They sell shares. If they hid payments, bribery payments from shareholders, that's a whole other, civil penalty. And then if they hacked into phones without a warrant, obviously they don't have a warrant, that's criminal. And the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act could be civil, it could be criminal. So lots could happen, and the FCC has the ability to take away a license from a media corporation that breaks the law. So it's too soon to say what, where, and how.
But isn't it the case? Isn't it the case? There is one. Finally, there is one criticism, of course, that actually it would suit the Democrats greatly if, for example, the Fox channels were emasculated before the election in 2012. That actually, this has actually become quite a partisan issue for you.
Oh my goodness! If you break the law in our country, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or a liberal or conservative or a moderate, you break the law, you pay the price. That's as simple as it gets. It has nothing to do with your political persuasion.
Barbara Boxer, thank you very much for joining us.